So some common blocks are perfectionism. And that can, and I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, that can keep you from sharing content or even creating content because you're spending too much time overanalyzing it and wanting it to be perfect. And there's a great quote from Napoleon Hill that I love, and I'm going to butcher it at the moment, but I know it's something to the effect of, it'll never be just right. So just go ahead and do it anyway. Don't wait. Yeah, I think maybe that's it. Don't wait. It'll never be just right. So go ahead and create content. When you can create it from your heart, then that's going to be good right there.
I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of the Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage.
Namaste. If you're feeling lost in transition, maybe unsure of your next steps and stuck for ideas when it comes to content marketing, today's episode is for you, because I'm going to be sharing a process that will allow you to tap into your inner wisdom and create content that aligns with your soul and attracts who you want to work with too. Because that's why we're doing this stuff, right? Yeah, absolutely. But first, as always, I do want to welcome you to Live, Love, Engage, especially if you are new. I am Gloria Grace, founder of Align to Shine Academy, and I empower women over 50, and especially entrepreneurs, over 50 women entrepreneurs, I would say, in particular, to overcome life's challenges so they can embrace who they are, lead boldly, and shine their light in the world. Because, as you see, I am the founder of Align to Shine Academy, and I want you to shine. I want you to shine brightly. So today we're going to be talking about how you can do that. And it really is about tapping into that higher wisdom that we have, that inner wisdom that we have. And I know when you reach a certain stage in life, and I know depending on my audience here, I think mostly everybody is over the age of 40. So you most likely have, possibly if you're a parent in particular, you may be an empty nester now or about to become one. You may be going through some relationship changes. Life happens. We get to midlife, and sometimes it's actually losing a spouse to death, unfortunately, or it can be a marriage breaking up. That happens as well. Or maybe you've lost a loved one, and it doesn't have to be necessarily a spouse. It could be a family member, a really close family member, like I went through when I lost my sister a few years ago, and she was the last member of my immediate family that I grew up with. I still have cousins, but she was that last person. So when these things happen, as business owners, they can really throw a wrench in the works and cause a lot of upheaval. So, for instance, it can start to have you feel, maybe you've been a very spiritual person, your whole life, perhaps, and now suddenly, because of this life challenge that has come along, you're not feeling so spiritual anymore. And I tell you, that's what happened to me in when my sister passed, I had been, up until that point, I had been meditating for daily, pretty much for about 6 years. And it had really helped me. And it had helped me even through helping her with her cancer journey. But after she passed, I really felt alone. And I didn't feel that strong connection to my higher power, to my higher self, to God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. And it was rough going for a while. I will tell you that. And eventually I came out the other side. And that's one thing I want to let you know too, is that if you are even right now going through something like that, and it may seem really challenging and you're like, am I ever going to feel like myself again? You will. You will. Oh, I'm feeling very emotional. So I feel like there is somebody out there listening to this right now who is feeling that way. So I just want you to know that, you'll get there. And I'm just going to throw this in right now. Don't think you have to do it alone. Now, we're going to be talking about tapping into your inner wisdom. And there's also wonderful support out there. So, I mean, for me, I went to a group grief counseling session a couple times. I went to a counselor. I did a lot of alternative healing modalities. I was in a mastermind at the time, and I had a lot of wonderful supportive people in that mastermind who helped me. And then I worked with different coaches along the way. So you don't have to do this alone. So just putting that out there, because I'm really feeling that, if I'm speaking to you, pay attention. Get help, okay? Don't feel you need to do this alone. And of course, I'm always available as well. So even just to maybe point you in the direction of somebody else who can support you, because sometimes when we're going through stuff, we get in our own little head. Yeah, we get in our heads, and we can't see the forest for the trees. So, it's, schedule a call, go to engagewithgloria.com, and, let's chat. Like I said, I'll either maybe I can help you directly, or I'll point you in the direction, because I believe in that. I believe in supporting my clients, my friends, and giving them the resources they need to survive. So, all right. Anyway, what can happen too is when you do go through these life challenges, it can also make it challenging to create content. Let's face it, even on a regular basis, or content that feels genuine. And because sometimes we may wind up buying programs that we think are going to help us, but because we're still in the midst of this life-changing thing, perhaps we're not able to give 100% to it, or we just sort of go through the motions, or we follow it to the letter, but because we're just too focused on that and not really helping learning how to heal ourselves, or getting support to heal, that it doesn't come off as genuine. And again, I went through this a couple years ago when I separated from my hubby, and I thought this was, great. I'm on my own. This is what I wanted. Had to go through some grieving of the marriage that didn't last like I had intended when we set our vows 30 plus years ago. And I enrolled in a program to help me, create this coaching program. And I was following them, what they recommended to do. And some of the content that I created did get results. It got engagement. Let's put it that way. It got engagement, but it didn't result in sales. Yeah, I didn't get any new clients from that. And my belief now is that I wasn't fully ready, and I wasn't aligned with my soul. I wasn't able to, I was still going through, this was, that very first year where I'm learning how to be on my own. So it was not the time to invest in a new program. So I've since learned to, number one, take my time before I make a decision, because I'm a manifesting generator in human design. And if you're interested in that, I've have an older episode with a wonderful human design expert. Check it out on the podcast. But my thing is that I need to sit with something before I invest. So I think with that one, I probably saw it and went, oh yeah, this is what I need, and I'm just going to invest in it right away. Yeah, didn't work so well. It's okay. Learn some good stuff though. And that's important too, is that I want you to know that, we make mistakes and it's okay. And forgiveness, self-forgiveness is really important. You want to be able to give yourself some grace and know that sometimes you may make a mistake when you're in the throes of something, and just forgive yourself and try again, move on. It's okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit about something. There's a term that I've used before. I've heard other of my friends and other business owners that I know talk about it as well. It's something called a divine download. And essentially what that is it's inspiration that comes out of nowhere. Well, that's what people say, right? But if you're a regular subscriber of this podcast, which I'm just going to put a plug in right now, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe or follow us on YouTube as well. You know that inspiration really does come from, and again, whatever your beliefs are, you can just say it comes from your higher self, or you can say it comes from God or source. So that's what it is. And one of the first times that I had a major divine download came in was when I got the idea popped in my head while I was meditating to write a book about love. And I thought that was crazy. But I do have a book now called Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. And it includes the LOVE method, and LOVE is an acronym. So that's an example of a divine download. So it's that sudden inspiration that comes to you. It can also be that idea that pops in your head while you're in the shower or you're doing dishes. It doesn't have to be during meditation like it happens for me. I've also had ideas in the shower. Now that I think of it, I don't remember what, but I remember one time going like, ooh, that's a good idea. So that can happen. It can be, guidance can show up for you in conversations with people. Maybe there's a recurring theme that comes up. And in fact, I think I was going to share this later, but I'm going to share this example now. But first I'm going to pause for one quick second and take a drink of water. So hold on one second. I'll be right back. There we go. Okay, so this is an interesting thing. So to set the stage here, a couple of weeks back, I was reading a book by an old client of mine. Actually, she just published a new book. It's called "It's Never Personal." It's by Vicki Kennedy. I highly recommend it. I may see if I can put a link to it in the show notes. As a matter of fact, I should make a note of that. Let me do that because it really was an excellent book. She's a psychologist, but it's also, she weaves in spirituality as well. She's very interested in things like Buddhism and Hinduism. And so it was a really interesting read. So there, I made my notes. It was really great. As I'm reading this book, there was some part of it that all of a sudden I just got this thought that, oh my goodness, when I wrote about the love method in my book, I needed to do something. There was something before that needed to be talked about that I didn't do because, again, to set the context here. So the L in the love method stands for let go and let God. And it's about letting go of a lot of things, but also letting go of limiting beliefs. And I realized that, it might be helpful if before you delve into the love method that you figure out what are your limiting beliefs. And so I came up with, using love, I came up with a new acronym. So the L is about like listing your limiting beliefs. And I don't have it. I still don't have it committed to memory. And I'm going to explain why a little bit later when we go through another process. I have another acronym for you that I'm going to share with you in a second. But anyway, so I had this idea. Great. Okay. And then 2 days ago, I went to an event where a wonderful coach of mine led us through a meditation where we reflected on our life, or actually the fact that our life is ending. And it's a really powerful thing. But what came up for me was that before I leave this planet, I need to work on this new idea that I had. So I'm like, ooh, okay, so I need to commit to writing about it. So then yesterday, I sit down, I spend about a half an hour starting to write about it. And then I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to do a beta launch or test with a couple of people to have them test this out before I even try to write a book. And then I went on a coaching call. I'm in a new program, and she was having like office hours. And so we could ask questions. So I asked her about this idea, and she gave me some feedback. And then someone else in the group asked a question about, we've been working on what our values are, and she had some ideas about where you can share your values, and you could maybe do a social media post about it. Now, this morning, as I'm recording this, it's a Wednesday, and normally on Wednesdays I record about a 10-minute Wisdom Wednesday, I call them, and I share them on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I use the daily word from Unity as my inspiration for that day's message. Well, today's daily word was about teenagers. And that's not really my demographic. It didn't fit in with, business or anything. And I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. And so I don't even know what I was doing. As I was doing something, maybe even journaling, it hit me that, oh, I could do a Wisdom Wednesday on one of my values. So I went to Daily Word. They have a lovely archive of all of their messages for like almost 100 years. I think they've been doing this. And so I found one. So one of my values is authenticity. And I found a wonderful message, and I just recorded it not too long ago. So I hope you're seeing how divine downloads can work and how themes can come up, and you get insights and all of this stuff. It's so important. To the point I want to make is to know that you have a wealth of experience in your life, and spending time in reflection, and we're going to go over this in a minute about how to do this, but getting to know and trust those inner hits, these sparks of inspiration that come through, is really great, because it's going to, you'll start to listen to them more and more, and you'll get more and more of them. Because I've had tons of examples over the years of these little nuggets of inspiration that come to me, and they're really great. So I want to talk about just briefly a couple of blocks that might come up for you, that may be because, especially if you're going through some sort of transition right now. I want to, what's the word I want to say? Make you aware of some things that might come up for you that might be keeping you from leaning into your higher self. So some common blocks are perfectionism. And that can, and I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, that can keep you from sharing content or even creating content, because you're spending too much time overanalyzing it and wanting it to be perfect. And there's a great quote from Napoleon Hill that I love, and I'm going to butcher it at the moment, but I know it's something to the effect of, it'll never be just right. So just go ahead and do it anyway. Don't wait. Yeah, I think maybe that's it. Don't wait. It'll never be just right. So go ahead and create content. When you can create it from your heart, then that's going to be good right there. And sometimes also we want to have that external validation. We want to get somebody else's opinion, which can be helpful. For instance, if you are in a coaching program, let's say right now you're working with a coach or something, it can be good to get somebody else's opinion. And then you have to then use your own discernment afterwards and say, okay, do I want to follow this person's advice, or maybe I don't? And again, that's this process of learning how to trust yourself is so necessary. And I know also, when you're going through life stuff, though, sometimes you might forget how to do that. And that's where it's okay. So just give yourself some time and some space. And that might be that you do put your business on the back burner temporarily, or you put some of your content creation. I've seen lots of, in fact, even in the recent weeks, I've seen people posting on Facebook or LinkedIn, actually, that I've been away for a little bit. I needed some time for me. I needed some self-care time, but now I'm back. So that's okay for you to do. It is absolutely okay for you to take some time away from social media. Now, I would encourage you, though, because also this is lessons I've learned in the past, make sure that your business can withstand that. So ideally, you have some pieces in place that are generating income for you, especially if this is your number one source of income is your business, to make sure that you've got a way to be able to continue getting income coming in while you take perhaps a little bit of break from some of your marketing. So do keep that in mind, because I don't want you to be, that old saying, out of sight, out of mind. So you don't want that to happen. So still have some way. Maybe you can even schedule some things ahead, hire a virtual assistant perhaps to help you keep some of the pieces moving while you step back and give yourself some time. Okay. All right. Let's get to this new process. And you know what? I'm going to be 100% transparent here and share that I created this process. Actually, I've tweaked it. It was actually created for me by Claude AI. Claude actually came up with the concept based on interactions with me. So, but I just wanted to let you know, because there's a lot of people out there that are freaking out about AI, but it can be very helpful. Now, I will tell you is that after it came up with this, and I'm going to tell you what the acronym is in a minute, I went on to Perplexity AI, I went on to Google, and I searched because I wanted to make sure that nobody else was using this because I didn't want to be copyright infringement, something like that. And so this is something that I may wind up trademarking, because I've tweaked some of this, because they had some great ideas, but it was like not all of it worked. And in fact, one of the letters I actually changed because I was like, nah, I don't like that. I'm going to change this a little bit. So that's the thing. You can use AI for inspiration, and sometimes you can even have it help you create something new, but then you got to put your own spin on it. And so it came up with, this lovely outline of bullet points, but now I am going to be walking you through it and putting my secret sauce into it. So, drum roll. Without further ado, it is called, well, first, let me tell you what it's for. So it's to help you to get into that wonderful state of mind to be able to start fostering inspiration for your content creation. So it's called the S.A.C.R.E.D method. See, isn't that beautiful? Sacred. I love that word because I'm all about love and spirituality, and Claude knew that. So it's called S.A.C.R.E.D, and S.A.C.R.E.D is an acronym. So the S, which I've already talked about a little bit here, but now I want to go into more detail, is for silence and stillness. And again, if you've listened to any of my episodes, especially my solo ones, I love the phrase "be still and know." And I am a huge proponent of meditation. When you can be quiet and not, now you can listen to maybe music, because I do that. I will do that. I listen to nice soothing music, different hertz that they're out there that are really good for you. And but I give myself that gift. Now for me, I do it every morning. You have to figure out what time of day works best for you. But to spend at least 5 minutes a day, you can carve out 5 minutes a day. I don't care how busy your life is and your business. I'm sure you can find 5 minutes a day. Even if it's just maybe it's not even meditating, maybe it's just sitting, and I've done this too. I've just sat in my living room and just stared out the window. That's all you got to do. Just stare at, and if thoughts come in your head of like, oh, I've got to get groceries going, I need to make dinner, just say, okay, thank you. And then just look out and see if you can maybe find a bird to look at, or a pretty tree or flowers or something, and focus on that just for a few minutes. The more you do this, I'm telling you, the benefits, there's physical benefits even just to doing this. It helps you lower your blood pressure, I believe, and certainly lowers your stress level. So give yourself that gift of being still. And because that's what's going to allow, that opens up that channel for that inspiration. Because when we're sitting there and we've got the monkey mind going, how are you going to hear anything? So do that. I'm going to remind you of that at the end of the podcast today, as a matter of fact, as well. The A in S.A.C.R.E.D stands for ask with intention. And I like this idea. I don't often do this, but I might start adding this into my routine. Because the other thing I like to do after I meditate is spend some time journaling. So, which we're going to talk about more with the next letter. But for now, you can maybe even before you sit down to meditate, is ask yourself these questions and say, okay, higher self, what does my audience need to hear most from me today? Or what lesson am I currently learning that could serve others? And maybe even what boundary do I need to model in my business? But I like the first two in particular. I think those are good. So I'm going to say them again. Make sure you get, hopefully, I should have told you at the beginning to grab a pen, grab a pen and paper, but you can go back and listen to this again and take notes. But you can ask, and like I said, I think this would be good before you even sit down to be still, is to, what does my audience need to hear from me today? What do they need to hear most? And or what lesson am I currently learning that could serve others? I like that. All right. The C is capture without judgment. And this is about when those ideas pop into your head to write them down and don't overthink it right now. Okay. Just because you're getting, that's that right brain is being activated. Our intuitive side of our brain is being activated. And you want to just let that flow, because later you can tap into the left side, our logical, and then you can refine it. And that's what I was doing the other day with this idea of when I initially, a couple of weeks ago, wrote down what love means, this new version, what it would mean. But as I was writing yesterday, I was like, I don't think I like it that way. I think I'm going to change it to this. And so I was tweaking it. And so just allow whatever comes through to come through. So if you need to make a voice memo on your phone or jot things down. Sometimes, I've gotten hits in the car. In fact, I did. Actually, I remember a few weeks back, I was driving to a friend's and I was listening to something, and it just, all of a sudden, this idea popped in, and I had to try to, carefully get a voice memo or something and try to write it down, because sometimes what will happen, this is an aside, is that if you don't write it down right away, it can disappear into the ether, those lovely ideas. And I have had that happen. And I've also then said, okay, when that has happened, I've said, okay, if this was meant to be, would you please allow me to remember this later? Please have it come back to me. So feel free to do that. Ask the angels. There's a wonderful book a friend gave me. It's called Ask the Heavens, I believe it is. And it's all about asking our angels, because our spirit guides, they want to be of service, but they like to be invited. So ask, if you forget for whatever reason to capture this, just say, oh, please have this come back to me. I really liked it. And I was brushing my teeth and I couldn't stop, or, whatever. And I didn't have it. I was driving and I couldn't get to write it down or take a voice note. So ask with intention. We're going back to the ask again. So capture without judgment, but if you lose it, go back and ask for help. All right. The letter R. Now this is the one I changed. They had a lovely idea. Claude had a lovely idea, but I was like, I need to tweak this a little bit. So it's recognize and respect. So as you're creating content, and you've hopefully gotten some ideas already, I invite you to recognize where you are in your life right now and what has come before, what life experiences have led you to where you are today, and respect those. And yeah, really respect it, because that's where you can really mine some wonderful content from your life experiences and even what you're going through right now. So, recognizing that perhaps you are in a mess, but know that that mess could have a message for other people who are going through something similar. So take advantage of that. So yeah, recognize it, respect it, and then E is embody the message. So live that guidance and then share it. Because when you are, honoring your mess and then embodying this, whatever insights you may have gotten, then when you go ahead to start writing content or doing a video or however you're sharing it, maybe you're writing an email, that's what's going to really create the magnetic content. And I think I've also spoken on this maybe a couple episodes back. When you do get ready to write, and I don't know, maybe embody the message. It should also be, and embody the message while energized. There we go. Yeah, while energized. Before you go to write, you want to be in a high vibe state so that you are really coming from the heart. Because if you're miserable, then our words, even written, carry a vibration, and your audience is going to pick up on that. So, and that's what happens when you're not even, this is why this is so important, to be able to get that divine download, get this higher guidance to help you. Because when you are in a mess and when you are feeling miserable, then you know. And even if you're not in something now, I'm sure you've had some experience in the past that, when you're sad or angry or afraid, sharing something on social media right then is likely not the best idea. Your audience is going to feel that. So when you can instead come from a happy place, be in your happy place, and then you can still talk about, this happened in the past, or I'm going through this, but it's going to be much better received. That's what I want to say. It'll be received with the heart, because you're coming through from the heart, and you're able to say, okay, yeah, this happened, or I'm going through this right now and it sucks. But maybe you can do it with a smile on your face, because it's better than crying, because crying is going to be felt. So you want to be able to come to a point where you can have a little bit of distance from those rough emotions. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So that comes to the D in sacred, which is deliver with confidence. Yeah. So just trust your voice, trust the message, even if it is messy, because there are people out there that need what you have to share. They need what it is that you are selling, and they are waiting for you to show up in front of them. So be your authentic self and start trusting also that you have what you need within you. It's just a matter of asking. And sometimes you do need some support. So like I said, I'm in this program right now that is really helping me. It's about helping me to create my brand legacy. And it's helping me in ways I didn't even necessarily expect already. So Okay. I'm going to take one more quick break, take a sip of water, and then I'm going to do one other thing with you to help you connect more fully to your higher self. Okay, so one thing I want to share with you right now for just a couple of minutes is a light language message. And this is a practice that I've been doing for several years now, and it has really helped me strengthen my connection to my higher self. Meditation and journaling absolutely work, but this is something that has helped sort of clear out some of the energetic blocks that wasn't even aware of, but it has really helped me in so many ways. So this is I'm going to be sharing a sound healing modality with you, and it is a language that is a multidimensional language that your wonderful left brain is not going to understand, but it's designed more for the right brain side and your heart and your soul. I will be speaking a language and or singing. I'm never quite sure what comes out, but I am going to be sharing it with the intention that, number one, the message you hear is going to be for your soul's highest good, and that it will also help you in clearing away whatever might be possibly blocking you from truly connecting with your higher self more fully, to help you to be able to start getting more of these divine downloads on a regular basis, let's say, or to help you even when, and this is also something too, is that when you sit down to write content, ask right then, in fact, say, what do I need to share today? Help me. And then just sit for a moment, go back to that stillness, and then see what comes through. Yeah, I may be refining this some more, but I do like it. Okay, so I invite you, if you are listening to this podcast right now, somewhere where you are operating heavy machinery, as they say, if you're driving a car, pause this, come back to it later, because I want you to be able to be in a place where you can be still and to be able to perhaps even close your eyes if you like. You don't have to, but you can. And I invite you to just sit back and allow whatever sounds come through to speak to your heart. So, that out of the way, I'm going to again ask my guides for a message that will serve you today to help clear away whatever might be keeping you from really having a strong connection to your higher self. O kaya no hei, ano kuyaku se, ano yata kohue, ano kayo no kuya, ano kaya shonoe, kashonya no kopa, hare yato kremante yasa, koyato kumake yako na sikaria pete bata, shona kaya toku shakunga, quada rankinga, radaka, kaya jinka, oshikia no kriapa, sakaria no kikali, nukoya toma, kokia, koyataka, ashonya no koyapa shunga, he dadanyan no koyapa, asana kia, anna kriato ena he, ashikayo no koyapa tenga, Areya no kimani kete, sakasha noama, kuya tokiyama nakia sha naka homa nakia palea totoya mashinka, karia tunga heata, asaki kohue, anoki koyane, ashion no kopa, alati, kanakia bashakadia no kubapa. Anya no koma, hare na chi no koishakia, hare tad no kriya tugin a shanginga, a shakashunga, barayata. Hope that resonated with you today. And if you would love to be able to perhaps have a private session with me where we can do a particular session that's geared specifically to what is serving you, I encourage you to go and you can go on my website, GloriaGraceRand.com, or you can also go to bit.ly/L, and then lowercase podcast and the number 30. So it's LLE podcast 30. I'll have that in the show notes, and that will take you right to my calendar where you can schedule a session with me. So, commercial out of the way. All right, so let me go over our sacred method again. So the S is silence and stillness. The A, ask with intention. The C, capture those messages without judgment. Just, write it down. Don't refine it until later. Recognize and respect. That's the R. Recognize what you're going through, respect it, use it. let your mess serve your message. E, embody it, embody the message. D, deliver with confidence. So I said at the beginning we're going to have homework, so I want you to set aside a minimum of 5 minutes a day for that stillness and silence, even if again, don't have to necessarily meditate, maybe just sit and look out the window, but develop that habit. I know it's going to help you. It's going to help spur that spark of imagination and inspiration that will come through. So your wisdom is the content the world needs. So trust it. And I encourage you to make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast, because next week I have a fabulous interview with Michelle Bishop. She is a master certified life coach and author of the book, Choose You First. And she and I are very aligned, as I learned when, chatting with her, because she helps women reclaim their lives after adversity by embracing self-love and building inner resilience. And these are things that are right at my wheelhouse, things I talk about on this podcast. So I encourage you to make sure, again, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, subscribe on YouTube so you won't miss that, because then you'll get notifications. And until then, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.